Property Podcast. I'm Simon, and I've been investing in property for over 20 years. And if you're an active landlord or planning your next property investment, this podcast is for you. I hope you enjoy this podcast, and I'd really appreciate it if you could tell one or two other property people about the Business of Property podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by a friend, a very experienced property investor, and most importantly, a past guest on this podcast. Pam has featured in episode 64, so this is going back quite a while in the history of this podcast now, where we talked about choosing investment locations, and also in episode 65, where Pam talked about property funding, and then also again in episodes 98 and 99, where we chatted about improving the environmental impact of our properties. And such things as reaching EPC C by 2025. So yes, that was obviously a while ago, and that hasn't quite come into force. Those last episodes were in fact back in October 2021. So that was indeed a while ago. So Pam Mackenzie, welcome back to the Business of Property podcast.
Hi everybody. It's lovely to be here again.
So today we're going to have a chat about just one of Pam's investment properties. We're going to take a deep dive into how Pam found that property, what it was, and what was done with it. Hopefully turning it into a fantastic, amazing, successful investment property. We shall see as the story unfolds. So before we talk about the property itself, how did you find this property? What was the situation you were in when you found it?
So the property I'm talking about is actually the very first HMO that we bought, myself and my partner Tania. So we already had a bit of experience. I already had a few buy-to-lets, but this was the first property we were buying and converting it into an HMO, and it was the first property we were buying with someone else's money. So we were quite nervous about this. So we were just looking on Rightmove, but honestly, we had viewed not hundreds, but tens and tens and tens of properties physically. So this was a Rightmove property, as a lot of mine are, not all, but a lot of mine.
That's a lot of properties to view. Was this over a period of weeks, months, years?
No, it was, we were both in it basically full time. So a bit of background is Tania and I had met at a property training course, and we decided to joint venture. We both wanted income, and we both decided this area, Crawley, that we wanted to invest in. I think we were just stuck in analysis paralysis, and we were terrified, So we went to see a lot of properties, but this property that we went to see, it was just a normal 3-bed semi, an ex-council house, as a lot of Crawley is. But the lovely thing about it was a normal property. As you walk in, you've got the hallway in front of you, and then the stairs straight up in front of you. This property, you walked in, and there was a hallway, and then you turned right, and the stairways went up sideways. The stairs went up sideways. So it was just a different format. Most properties, semis, are rectangular, so they're long and thin. This one was short and fat, basically. It went the other way. And that, for us, was just wonderful, because so I'll just tell you a bit about the property. So you walked in, on the left was a cloakroom, and if you walked totally straight, there was the kitchen. But before the kitchen, if you turned right, there was a little hallway leading to I think a utility room or something. But then there were stairs going up the right. And then if you went back into the kitchen and you turned right, there was this L-shaped lounge diner. And so it was quite a big room, and what we clicked is that if we took the L and split it into like 3 squares, like one the top, one the intersection, and one the bottom, that would make the top bit would make the lounge, and the bottom two chunks would make a bedroom each.
Mm.
And we could, and so the one, and we finally did that. The one bedroom we could access through the lounge, and the other bedroom we could access. There was a little passage under the stairs we could get through. And so while our numbers had been quite tight, because in those days we were making we thought we could make a 4-bed HMO. Suddenly now we could make a 5-bed HMO, because upstairs were 3 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really a game changer for us. And actually, once we bought this one, we bought another 4 in 18 months, because
let's not get carried away. We're just talking about the one property today.
But just, once we had this footprint and we knew it worked, just buy, and that was it. So which was, really nice.
You're giving away the end of the story as well. People aren't
no, I'm not giving away the end of the story. There's other bits, but anyway.
So you gave a brilliant description of the downstairs.
Yeah.
But I know you said the upstairs is sort of very boring. It's just 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. But how were they laid out? Were they all double bedrooms, or was there anything else up there?
So when you walked up the stairs, there was a box room which was actually too small for the standards. A room has to be at least 6.51 square meters, and even in those days you had to have that. But there was like a long built-in cupboard, which was we somehow managed to incorporate that into that small room, and move the door as well, so it was big enough, and it's about 7 square meters. And then the other 2 rooms are 2 big double rooms, and they're lovely rooms. And then there's a bathroom. So, yeah. So okay, so I'm going back to, it was 2014 that we bought this house. So the purchase was really painful. They always are. Always. I've yet to come across an easy purchase.
So what was the plan for the purchase, though? Because presumably you found this property on Rightmove, so it was wanted to be sold, and you put in an offer. Was it accepted straight away, or was there any sort of difficulty around that part of it?
No. So I think we offered 2,000 or 3,000 less than the asking price, because that was what you did in those days. And after a bit of negotiation, well, we got it for 2,000 or 3,000 less than the asking price. We probably offered a bit less.
That's not too bad.
The lady, so these houses, it had been what's it called, right to buy, where they were council houses and then the people could buy them. Yeah. So they weren't that well maintained, because the people who lived there couldn't afford to maintain them. And this lady, she was an elderly lady, and unfortunately she had lost one of her sons, and it was very difficult for her to move out of that property. She really, really, I don't know when she had lost her son, but I gather reasonably recently. And she really struggled through that sale. It was hard for her. But anyway, so from our point of view, how we structured this is, so we had a bit of money, but we didn't want to use our own money, because we wanted to try this joint venturing. So we had done a course, and we knew people from the course, and we put together almost like a school project about this house, what we want to do with it. So convert it into 5 bedrooms, how much we thought the refurb was going to cost, and the cash flow afterwards. We put that all together, and we went to like a property meeting, and we presented it. And this one couple who had money, but they both had full-time jobs, and they knew Crawley because they had relations living in Crawley. They said yes, they want to joint venture. And for us, actually, we knew that we were giving them a far better deal than we were getting. So what happened is, we had 2 joint venture partners, and they each put in half the money, but the mortgage is in our name. And then so it's myself and Tania, and investor 1, investor 2. So we had split everything by 4. That's the equity, the income, the whole journey, every single thing. But what we agreed with them, which was a huge sweetener for them, is that when we refinance after however many, 2 years or 6 months or whatever it was, we had added value to the property by making it an HMO. So we would give them back their initial investment, which we did. So, they were, supplying the money in the first place. We supplied all the effort, gumption, everything else,
Yeah.
and the mortgage. So we were taking on the risk. And we thought about it and we thought, this is just a way to get started. I would rather have a portion of something than all of nothing. So that's what we did. So that's how we structured the deal, and it was all fine. In those days, you bought properties in your own personal name, which, as you can imagine, has come back to bite us hard. But
Yeah.
they weren't well, as far as I know, they weren't limited company mortgages. So we did that. So yeah, we bought the property. And then the refurb, so the refurb in those days cost, on that property cost £12,000,
So
which is
can I just stop you there? That's not very much, but
the,
let's just say what was that covering?
yeah.
So you've already mentioned converting a couple of rooms, but can you go through the full list? What were you getting for that £12,000?
Yes. So firstly, we didn't need fire doors in those days. We didn't need interlinked smoke alarms, all that sort of thing we didn't need. So what the refurb covered was building a few stud walls to make those 2 extra bedrooms downstairs. And it also included putting a shower in the downstairs toilet, just had a toilet. So we put a shower in. So how it works is the 2 downstairs rooms generally use the downstairs cloakroom. So it's 2 of them sharing the cloakroom. And upstairs, the 3 bedrooms generally share the upstairs bathroom, although anyone can use anyone, but that's just how it tends to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, our £12,000 just covered that. And also we had to put in an extra window in one of those rooms downstairs because there wasn't a window.
Did you need to get planning permission and things like that for the window?
We needed to get, a fencer certificate as building regulations, that's all. But that was quick and easy, and that was it. And even actually the builder, so Tania knew a builder, and we got him to come and do it. And I mean, the whole thing took about 3 weeks. It was quick and easy. At the time, because we weren't very experienced, we thought, gosh, they're taking a long time and everything. But it worked, it worked. We ordered furniture. I don't actually even know. We painted the rooms, the new rooms, where they'd put in new stud walls.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the rooms, they were in reasonable condition. We didn't even paint them.
Did you need to change the kitchen at all, or was that able to stay as it was?
No. In fact, to this day, that we've got the same kitchen units. We have altered it a bit because we wanted to put in a big fridge, because she just had an under-counter fridge, things like that. So we altered it. But no, she had loads of cupboards. We've had to alter bits and pieces over the years, but no, when we basically went live, that was it. We just used what was there. And in those days, there were not very many professional HMOs at all. And most HMOs were, I think, for sort of social housing, that sort of person. And our target market was EasyJet aircrew. So our house is on a bus route, a 24-hour bus route from Gatwick. And we put an advert up, and in those days they would give you a deposit if they wanted the room. Nowadays, you can take a holding deposit, but you're not allowed to take an extra deposit for referencing. And we had about 40 people within a day or two just wanting the rooms, and people saying, please, I'm just going to the cash point to get my money, and I need this room. And it was actually quite overwhelming and very exciting, actually. So yeah, and they were all carry on.
Go on. Okay, I'll jump in with my question then. I want to, before we get on to the tenant bit, I was just wondering about a couple of details on the sort of process so far. So you said the purchase was very difficult. Can you remember how long that purchase process took, from sort of offer to you getting the keys?
So I know we had viewed the property in October, and we completed in May.
Okay.
So we probably put in an offer November. So it's
So
a
it's quite a
long
long time. So 7-ish
yeah,
months. Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Even by today's standards, where I think it's slowed down, that's
yeah,
quite long. Okay.
yeah.
So then after that, how soon were you able to get the builders started?
Very quickly, because we had them in place. They were waiting. They obviously knew, oh, it's only a small job. It's only 3 weeks, and we had built a relationship with them. They'd already come to see the property between exchange and completion. We had drawn up our own plans from the plans on Rightmove. We had drawn up. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. We had been in the house, had measured exactly, so we knew. And actually, when the builders were building, we wanted the rooms, the new rooms, to be 10 square meters. And they made it 9.5 square meters. So we asked them, please, to move the wall. And they had to, which was frustrating for everybody, but we knew that you can't, it had to be that certain size. And yeah, there was quite a bit to do with regards to electrics and moving radiators and everything, because we put in those 2 extra bedrooms, but it worked.
So it was. You mentioned 3 weeks. Was that what it was supposed to take? And what did it actually take?
Yes, no, it was meant to take 3 weeks, but we really pushed these builders. And gosh, they were Asian, and it was an Asian holiday where they don't eat during the day. So, they fast during the day.
Yep.
And
I'm
so
afraid
we
I don't
got
know
there,
the holiday, but yep,
well,
I know the idea.
yeah, Ramadan, or one of those. So we got there, and we were there all the time. Now we just ask them to take a video and send us a video or photos. But in those days, I don't think the technology was even around then. But we were down there every day. And if we walked in, and we did walk in one day, and there were 2 builders, and they were sleeping because they were tired because they hadn't eaten. And we complained to the kind of main guy and said, I'm
Well,
sorry, this is not acceptable. You've got to, this is the schedule, and you've got to get on and do it. And actually, both Tania and I have a project management background, me more in software, but her in managing projects, like build projects.
yeah.
So we did it very nicely, but we were absolutely on their backs all the time.
So they did actually manage to do it in 3 weeks, did they?
They did.
Even with moving the wall.
Well, yeah, it was because these houses in this area, the walls are not brick; they're just stud walls. They're
Yeah.
internal walls, so it's really quite easy to move them. Actually, So
I've
yeah,
never
they
tried,
did.
so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, no, it's just bits of wood, and then insulation, and then plasterboard on both sides. But because that room wasn't the right size, we were going there every day. We picked it up before they'd even done all the electrics and the plasterboard and everything.
Okay, so it was
You know,
caught early, so it's
yeah, it
not
was
so
caught
bad.
early. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay,
So
so was there anything else that went wrong in that sort of preparation
oh
process
yes, of
beyond the wall
course there
being in the wrong
was.
place?
I mean, these builders didn't speak English, for instance, and this window they put in, on the glass pane was a sticker saying, "This bit must face the outside," and that was on the inside. Then when we went to use the shower, the new shower they'd put in, it wasn't working because they just didn't connect the water to it, because I think they couldn't read the instructions. And the guy in charge was not there all the time. He was just
Yeah,
leaving his
yeah.
guys get on with it. And yeah, so yeah, we had all sorts of things, but that's just part of the game. Everything is always goes a bit wrong.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah. So yeah, we had lots of issues like that. You do. It's just how it is, you know. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
it did in the end all get finished though. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so you were talking about after it had finished, how quickly did you actually get it to market?
Almost immediately. Because that's why we were pushing them, because we knew, well, our mantra has always been and still is fastest route to cash. That's it's always been like that. So I mean, it was within a day or two. We just put the advert on the market, on spare room, and suddenly we just had this flood of people. It was about May time, and it was, or May, June, and we were very lucky that EasyJet were about to start a training course. So all these young people were looking for a room. But saying that, we had so many people, half of them weren't from EasyJet, but we had a lot come from EasyJet.
Wow. Okay. So, can you remember how long it took to fill? Presumably not long at all.
To reserve maybe 2 days. And then, for us, it was the first time we were doing all this paperwork. So it probably took another a week just for us to get our heads round what you needed to do. And of course, as well, in those days, you didn't need the how to rent booklet, the EPCs, all the stuff you need nowadays. You didn't need any of that. It was all quite different. But still, you needed a tenancy agreement, and you needed the inventory. But yeah, it took us about a week, and they were all in. And what was nice about that bunch is they were all EasyJet aircrew, and they knew how to tidy up behind themselves. And they all, I don't know if they knew each other, or some of them knew each other, but they all got to know each other. So and they were all in the same boat together, which was nice. Subsequently, you've had some move out, and they've all swapped around. But yeah, so it worked very, very well.
Cool. So I think the next big question really is sort of on the financials.
Yeah.
So can you remember what you bought it for, and then what the rents and things were like?
So yes, so we bought it for 188,000. So that was reasonably priced, but all the houses were that price in those days. And then our very first batch of rents, so we got for the rooms 500, 500, 475, 415, and 400. And that totals to just under 2,300, 2,290. So, and our mortgage, I don't know, I mean, our mortgage wasn't very high. It was probably, I don't know, 3% or something. So we had 75% loan to value. And then, of course, with an HMO, you've got to pay gas and electric. In those days, it was about £80 a month. And then broadband, a cleaner was £10 an hour. It's not quite like today. All these, I can't remember what else. Council tax, all the bills. So so in the end, the profit on that house was clear profit was £1,000 a month. So I got 250, Tania got 250, and each of the JV partners got 250.
Yeah,
so
really, very good.
Yeah. And they had put in £30,000 each. So they'd put in 60,000 in total. So it was a very good return on their investment, which, but for us, okay, we had put in all this effort, but also we were just getting £250 a month,
for no money. It's infinite return. Well, except all that effort you put in.
But also, as part of the deal, we managed the property ourselves, I think for the first year as part of the deal. And after that, we said we would get in a manager to manage it at local rates. And then I decided I would become the manager. So now I still am managing that property to this day, but I get paid extra, as from many years ago. I get paid a management charge on top of that because it's only fair.
Bad.
So,
do you still have a mortgage on that property? Have you remortgaged it over the years? Or?
Oh yes, we've remortgaged it. So I think our mortgage now is about I don't know, 205,000, which is, so it's more than the asking, more than the purchase price. And
so have you returned presumably all the investor money? So they've
yeah, so I think we've still got something like, the investors have got £4,000 or £3,000 outstanding that we haven't returned. So I'll tell you, that property went fine until Brexit. So we did have tenant changeovers, but a lot of the aircrew at Brexit decided to go back to their home country. If they were French, they went back to France, etc.
Yep.
And then we had a bit of a wobble. So for us and for the investors, that is the disadvantage, is that then instead of getting our £1,000 a month jointly, we were maybe getting £500 a month. So everybody's income went down, because that's the how it works.
Although at least there was still profit in it.
Yeah,
It could have been worse.
yeah. So for quite a few months we all got much lower profit while it was sorting itself out, and then we got a bit desperate because we couldn't find tenants, and so we took on tenants that were wouldn't necessarily have passed referencing if they had gone through a proper referencing agency. And those turned out not to be great, and we had to kick some out, and we had a few issues, but over a 10-year period you always get issues like that. And we were using the NRLA, the National Residential Landlords Association, for referencing. In the beginning, we did that. And then we thought, actually, we can reference the tenants ourselves. And I mean, because when you get someone who doesn't pass referencing through the NRLA, they still let you make the decision. And they just say it's, I can't remember what they say, it's proceed with caution, or I can't remember what it was.
Sort of
So
high risk
we
label of some description.
So we thought, actually we can do it ourselves. And right from many years ago, we've just been doing all our referencing ourselves, and we can see and we knew at the time that we were taking these on, that they're not that great, but we were desperate, and it wasn't such a great business. Well, I don't know if it was a great business decision, because they paid rent for a little while, and then they ran into problems and they stopped paying rent. But overall, it's worked perfectly. So so that's where we are. We still have the house now. However, our issue now is Section 24. So, which is when you get taxed on the mortgage interest, and that has become a big issue for us.
It's painful as especially interest rates have gone up, and that sort of amplified the effect of Section 24, hasn't it?
So right now we are actually on a 5-year fix. So we are lucky right now the interest rate is still lowish, but we are very aware that in 2025 we're going to be off that. So we are thinking, is it worth selling this property? So we could maybe sell it into our company, one of our companies. We're not sure yet. But we are slowly selling off some of our portfolio, all the ones that are in joint ventures, and also the ones that are in personal names because of Section 24. So we've just sold some, and some are on the market. We're just slowly selling them off. And one thing that we knew, but we just didn't quite know, is that, so we bought the property for 188, and now we've remortgaged it, and it's at about 205,000. If we sell it for, say, 300,000, the capital gain is the difference from the 300,000 to the 188. It's not the difference from the 300,000 to the 205, which is the mortgage. So, and when the first property went through, and suddenly the accountant said, no, you owe all of this capital gains tax. And we were thinking, no, I'm sure she's got it wrong. But unfortunately she didn't. So
you can, I mean, it's fairly difficult, but you can, if you get the numbers wrong enough, to actually end up with no money left after you've paid off your mortgage and paid off the capital gains tax. Yeah, there is actually a calculator in Patma Manager that does this for you. So for your whole portfolio, it'll show you what you've put in as a current value and the mortgages, and then work out the capital gains tax, and you can see whether you actually get anything back after. So it's a very, very real danger if you keep remortgaging and remortgaging and remortgaging to take out more money as the value increases.
Yeah. Well, firstly, you remortgage, to take money out to buy more properties, but also with the fees nowadays, we are buying another property at the moment, and the fee is 7%, and that's an upfront fee. It is just a huge amount. And I actually told the broker I don't actually want that mortgage. I'd rather have one with a fee, a slightly higher rate, but a fee for 2%, because in 5 years' time, when that mortgage has ended, and then you've got to remortgage, and then you might be at more than 75% loan to value, and then you stuck. So I didn't want to do that. So it's very high.
So I think I'm going to stop the story of this property there, because Pam has very kindly agreed to record another episode after this one, which will obviously be available for anyone listening next week. And we're going to dig a little bit into sort of some of the differences in the property market between when Pam bought the property we've just talked about and now. So 10-ish years. And we'll talk a bit about what's changed and the different approaches that are needed now. And I know we've sort of moved the conversation a little in that direction anyway. So a little bit of a teaser for what we'll talk about a bit more next week. So just for people who, for some reason, decide not to listen again next week, Pam, is there any way you'd like to direct listeners to maybe get in touch with you, or to find out more about what you're doing, or anything else like that? Or would you just prefer to be left in peace and quiet? That's a perfectly valid answer as well.
People can reach out to me on Facebook. Yes, with pleasure. If anyone's got any questions, with pleasure. I'm always happy to talk.
Cool, fantastic. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes. So to everyone listening, thank you very much for joining us this week, and do listen again next week, where Pam and I will be chatting again about some of the differences and changes over the last 10 years. So until next week.